everybody, and welcome to A Balanced Life here on Black Star Network. Let me just tell you, as we begin to wind down the year, there are so many things that are going through our mind. How do we make peace with our past? How do we move forward and have fun? Where are we in our faith? Have we abandoned it? What can we do next? Oh my goodness. And let's talk about fitness. How are we shaping up? Or not, in my case, these are the things that are on all of our minds as we prepare to roll into 2023 and discover who we were meant to be. Today, as we gather, we have with us our favorites today, Dr. Tierney, Stacey Owens, Pastor JT, and Mocha Lee. Welcome in, everyone.
Hey, Dr. Jacquie.
Hey, Dr. Jacquie.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Yeah.
I see thumbs up. I hear some greats. I mean, it's sort of like when you come to this end of the year, you're kind of figuring out, am I going to be overwhelmed? Do I want to be overwhelmed? Have I gotten enough stuff off of my plate? I'm going to start with Dr. Tierney on that, because I know as I look at my to-do list and all of the things I said at the beginning of 2022 I wanted to accomplish, I'm not quite sure that I got to those things. So Dr. Tierney, talk to us about how should we be feeling right now as we come to the close of this year?
So the first thing I'm going to say is this is not the time to beat yourself up. This is not the time as you're doing your yearly assessment and checking off all of the things that you got from your to-do to done and the things that are still lingering on your to-do list. This is not the time to beat yourself up and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't get that done. I didn't get that done. Because what it'll ultimately do is take the focus off of what you can accomplish from now until the end of the year and going into 2023. The best thing that you can do as you're looking at your list is ask yourself, okay, what did I not do, or what could I have done better, to equip me to reach those goals? Sometimes it's a process issue. Sometimes it's that you need to just get the right people around you. Sometimes it's that, okay, I need to get a coach, or a therapist to help me reach that next level of goals. So don't beat yourself up, but look at how we can continue to grow and be better.
Absolutely. I can identify with, a few of those. I am one who accustomed to kind of beating myself up, and then I just tear up the list and say, oh, whatever, and I'll just start again. Stacey Owens, in that space of growth and maturity and, being a business owner and working with your employees, I know they come to you sometimes, with these things that they said they wanted to do. How are you helping your staff and your team build that personal leadership, and just to say we can get done what we can, and then what we can't, we'll address later? What does that look like in the corporate space?
I think it starts with first knowing, like you said, you set your goals, you know what you want to do. And then just like Dr. Tierney said, take that time to reflect, go back, look at your goals and determine what did you do. And then find one thing on your goal list that you really wanted to do, but you didn't have the opportunity to do. And then just start now. Just start it right now. And then celebrate the effort that you put forth in starting that goal. So that way you can end your year with a great bang and boost your self-confidence, because you can feel like you accomplished, one more big thing before the end of the year came. So don't beat yourself up about it. Don't, go into a oh wait me about it. Just take time to reflect and know that growth happens as long as you continue to move and work towards it.
Now, you mentioned an interesting concept. You said don't beat yourself up, and I know that's not easy to do, but how is it that you can keep moving? I know oftentimes people get stuck in a rut. Stacey, what are some of the things or tips that you may have related to helping people get unstuck?
Stay in the course. Like I said, you're going to look at what you haven't done. You're going to self-reflect and think about, ask yourself those honest questions. What has stopped me from doing this particular thing? Make sure you clear out your mental blocks. Is it I was procrastinating? Is the task is too big and I maybe need to make it into smaller chunks? Was it I was overwhelmed with other distractions? Just reflect on what has happened within you that have stopped you from going forward, and then identify that one smaller thing that you can do towards it. do it, and then celebrate it. I think oftentimes we don't take time to celebrate our small accomplishments. We think we can't celebrate ourselves until we finish it all or we complete it at the end. And then when we don't get to that end of completion to celebrate, we give up and become discouraged. So if we can learn to chunk it into small steps, reflect, be honest with what I can do different, take that different route, and celebrate that small accomplishment, that will give you the motivation to keep going.
Being able to jumpstart yourself is, pretty amazing feat for those that are able to accomplish it. Pastor JT, when you think about, getting toward the end of the year and keeping people motivated and moving forward, where are you on the spectrum of keeping yourself in tune with where you are and what's left to do as we round out this year?
You say, where am I? I'm present. And I think that in most instances, as I've heard, my sisters speak, I think that that's one of the challenges. We start looking at the finish line. And I think sometimes we start in a frustrated place. We start chasing a goal that we are not really prepared mentally to get yet. And I got it. You got to have the picture of what the finish line looks like. But nobody has ever identified how long it will take to get to the finish line. And I believe that the frustration comes in when we feel that we should be at that finish line quicker. But I believe one of the things that helps you stay motivated is staying present, knowing where you are right now, reflecting on the progress that you've made and appreciating the process. Something that my dad told me when I was a young boy. He said that if it comes easy, give it away because don't nobody want it. It has no value. And oftentimes, because we live in this instantaneous world, we believe that if we have not made it by a certain time or a certain date on the calendar or even by a certain age, that we have failed. But I'm here to tell you, in this post-COVID world, man, still being able to be present is a success all within itself. So that's what keeps me motivated, that if I'm on top of the ground and the ground is not on top of me, I got another day to take a stab at it.
Oh, I know that's right. Those are some great tips that we've heard. Mocha Lee, now, most of us are in that space where we are feeling, kind of self-defeated because we said we would get to certain goals throughout the year. And I know we'll talk about this more in depthly, but where are you in your processes of helping people establish some really good baselines as it relates to health and wellness and their fitness?
Well, I have to say that I really like everything that you guys have already said, because first of all, I heard something about the small goals and just being happy about the little achievements along the way. But Pastor Jay said something about that finish line, and y'all know I ran track. So have you ever watched a track race or any type of Olympics, and there's the finish line, and all of a sudden the runners get a little kick? We call it the kick. It's kind of like I look at the end of the year and I tell my clients, look at the end of the year, like there's the finish line, figure out how to get a little kick. And it's what everyone is saying, just a little something that can help you just finish the year strong and say, you know what, I might not have done everything that I wanted to do in 2022, but I'm gonna start 2023 off very well. And here's just an example. So when I see the finish line, because y'all know I did the turkey trot back on Thanksgiving. I try to get my clients to do at least one 5K race per month. So in December, you might do the Jingle Bell run. In January, you might kick it off with the Commitment Day run on the first day of the year. But when you're running the race, you might realize, hold up, I could at least pump my arms a little bit harder. That's the one little thing I can do to get myself to the finish line. Or you might say, oh, wait, I could get my breathing together. Let me breathe harder. So even though I have all these athletic analogies, I just have to say, if you focus on one little thing, I think that's the theme here. If you at least focus on one thing, make it happen, and just be glad, be proud. And because the attitude of gratitude is always going to get you through, no pity parties around here.
So do you think that people bite off more than they can chew, Mocha, when it comes to preparing themselves for how they want to move forward each year?
Yes, they do bite off more than they can chew. Let me back up. You know how birds of a feather flock together.
Mm-hmm.
It seems as though all of the A-type people who are just so accomplished, trying to get so much done, and I'm A-type too. We can't help ourselves. We just want to serve. We just want to make a difference. We are the ones who bite off way more than we can chew. So my job as a personal trainer, as a fitness, health, wellness coach, I just really try to help people pare down and focus on three. And I mean, y'all don't believe me. This morning, this was some focused stuff I had for a client. I said, please just focus on the water. It's okay. If you drink your water, that's going to improve your health and wellness. So for 1 week, just focus on the water, right? And be accountable. Send me a text message about how many ounces you drank. And just so you know, it should be 64 to 80 ounces every day. I just try to figure out how can the people who try to bite off more than they can chew, just pare it down, chill out a little bit. It's okay. And just focus on the small things. But I don't know. It's just been tricky. In all the 20 years that I've been with folks, and even me myself, it is frustrating because you see you really in your mind and your heart, you're like, I know I can get it all done, but life happens. And then, stuff gets in your way and there are obstacles. So, it's just, you have to be okay with not beating yourself up, going right back to what Dr. Tierney said in the very top of the show. Don't beat yourself up. Just, do what little bit you can and realize you cannot get it all done unless you break it into smaller goals. For sure.
Absolutely. When we come back after the break, we want to talk a little bit about how our faith plays a part in moving us forward. Now, we've heard things like understand the process, go through the process, be present in the moment. But there's some other practical things that we can do as we begin to grow when we come back after the break. Welcome back, everyone, to A Balanced Life. And as you can tell, rounding out 2022 is not going to be for the faint of heart. And I will tell you, I am quite comfortable with learning how to abandon ship. And what I mean by that is I recognize that I can stress myself out when I think too much about what I coulda, shoulda, woulda, probably didn't do this year. But one of the things that has helped me, a mainstay in my life, has been my faith. And I want to talk to Pastor JT about that for a moment, because as we've come through this pandemic and as we've watched people around us, some have gone on to glory, some have, fallen by the wayside. Some of us are skipping out on church. I'll be the first one, to raise my hand. I may not be in the building, but I am present somewhere online. And a lot of that plays a part in how we feel about who we are and where we're going, and then the next steps that we can take. Hey, Pastor JT, let's talk about that for a moment. When we think about these things related, to growing and moving forward, how are you as a pastor, one, dealing with people taking their time? And I know you're going to talk to the pastors about that, because literally I hear and watch on social media pastors complaining about their members not being present. Let's tackle that first. Where do you help them find balance as pastors from pulpit to pew?
Wow, that's a great question. Matter of fact, I just had a opportunity to speak to a group of pastors about this same topic. Me kind of being in between, so I got the gray hair. So Big Mama know I got a little wisdom, but my Spotify playlist would probably be one that your grandkids would listen to. I need that push when I'm on the treadmill. Mocha will tell you. But it gives me an opportunity to be able to hear both sides and to be able to speak to both sides. And oftentimes in a pastoral role, we have never really valued what we hear, only what we say. And I believe that in this season, COVID has really taught us that we have to be more of a listener as a pastor than a speaker, and really hear. And the attendance is speaking more than a survey monkey or somebody filling out something on Constant Contact. I think one of the things that COVID and this generation has done for us, it pressed the fast forward button. And I'll call COVID the big pause. everything in the world stopped. But what COVID did, especially for the church, it caused us, and more specifically, and if I can lean into this, the Black church, it caused us to fast forward, because for so many years, we have really based our ministries inside of four walls. Mm-hmm. And what COVID did, it forced us to look at what ministry looks like outside the four walls. And what this generation plus COVID has done is it has caused us to really take a hard look at church service versus attending church. What this generation loves is green space, that when I wake up, I'm able to go to church. If it's 3:00 in the evening, if I've gotten home from brunch, if I had Jamarcus had a football game this week, or Emery had cheer or had camp, I'm still able to get the word when I need it. And I think sometimes, if I can be honest, we become egotistical, and that ego causes us to create a panic that is not met with the response that we are expecting. So we're expecting that when we get over the pulpit and we hoop and we holler and tell them how don't forsake the assembly of yourselves, man, you got to understand, back in the Old Testament, they went to church once a year. That was a pilgrimage, that they went to Jerusalem once a year. So now if we start to think about that, I know you'd probably be happy for them to come once a month than once a year. So now we have to start being creative and working on those ways to meet them where they are. And if we meet them where they are, I promise you the response will be more favorable than trying to force them to come to where we are.
So helping pastors get out of their feelings, because that's a very numbers driven. Like you said, they want to hear the call and the response. They also want to see the people, want to stand, and it was difficult for pastors not to come down from the pulpit and, greet the members or at the back door and have the fellowships in the hall and all of those kinds of things. That language. And this is about balance. And so we're not beating up on pastors, and we're not talking about church members in a negative way. What we're saying is, how do we create space for people to be able to be where they are and everybody be okay with the choice that they've made? Why is that so difficult, Pastor JT, for pastors and leaders to accept that members are making their own decisions about how they build their relationship?
Got you. It goes back to an old statement that I've made in business, is that what we learn first is what we believe most. Mm. And so we were taught that Sunday morning was the only time you went to church. Like when we grew up, nothing happened on Sunday other than church. But as time progressed, stores that normally were closed are now open on Sundays. Restaurants that were normally closed are now open on Sunday. Then we started to move in the 2000s. Our kids, they are now having functions on the weekends, and we're having to travel with cheer. And we're starting to see now, as we're growing professionally, we have conferences and conventions that take us out. But what happened is, as the world turned, as the soap opera that my big mama used to watch, as the world turned, the church stayed still. And so we are trying to give, I believe, the most amazing message that you can ever have, a message of hope. But we're trying to give it to a streaming generation, but we're trying to serve it to them with 8 tracks. And so I think that we have to really find a space, as you mentioned, to provide balance. I would say look at perfecting the in-house worship, but then also don't neglect your online experience. Be hybrid, offer both, encourage both, engage both. And I say that we are in one of the greatest times that we've ever been in. And I call it the time of digital discipleship. It's easy for me to share a text on Sunday morning and engage 10 people to click a link to join me in church, versus me trying to get 10 people to drive to a building to get there. I think if we get over the hurdle of ego, it will remove the excuse, and we will start to experience a new birth or rebirth of what I believe that God is kind of putting together at this time.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask Stacey a question because oftentimes as worshipers, we feel that tug and that push and pull between pulpit and pew, and then, our job and our responsibility. Stacey, how are you balancing, your faith and your journey, whether it's inside the building, outside the building, and just growing your relationship so that you can be the person you're meant to be?
Well, I was just in here, just taking in by what Pastor JT was saying, because he's actually, correct. I'm one of those people who would like to operate in that green space, or that space of flexibility, and being able to still meet the word and get the word, but get it when I have the time to get it. So I'm that online person. I'm going to be in the service online. I'm going to enjoy that online experience. I may be in my office online doing work while I'm listening to the word, but I'm still finding that way to make balance to get both. I think it is a lot of pressure that's put on people to make you feel like you shouldn't go to work, or you shouldn't do those other things on Sunday, and that you should drive to the brick and mortar. But I shouldn't have to lose my essence in who or what I want to be, trying to meet someone else's expectations. So I think you just have to get comfortable in knowing what works for you, and then stand on making it work for you, and regardless of what other people think and feel about it.
So I want to ask you this question because I get this question a lot. Should I be made to feel guilty because my choice is not to come to the building? And how do you reconcile your own feelings related to that? Stacey?
Of course, you should not be made to feel guilty, but unfortunately, depending on, the connections that you have in the religious organizations, some people manage that by using fear tactics, or tactics that can make one feel guilty. I actually experienced that myself. I have my friends and family who is always trying to balance me for me, and they're always telling me what I shouldn't do, why I shouldn't do it, and they don't even have the whole picture. Like, I'm the only one who can, one, be held accountable for the choices that I make in life. Whether they're spiritual, physical, whatever choices I make, I'm the one that has to be held accountable for that. And so I think for me to reset those emotions, I just had to keep telling myself, as I was sitting at my office doing my work, listening to the online service, knowing that my mother, who is an avid, we have to go to the building, we have to do it the old way, as what I'll call it. I just stopped getting in arguments with her about it. I just had to say, you know what, Mom, keep praying for me. Do it the way that you're going to do it. And then allow me that space. Make space for me to be able to do it my way. And I don't even expect for them to understand it anymore. I have to understand it. And as long as I can understand it, then now I have to work with my guilt. And I work with my guilt by saying, Stacey, is this what you want to do? If you are doing what you want to do, and you are comfortable with the consequences that's going to come from it, then let what everybody else think go. And that's how I handle my guilt from it.
I think that that's a powerful statement, is being able to come into your own space, accept what works for you, and then be able to move forward, because you don't want that to hinder your walk in your relationship. And as we get ready to go into our break, I do want to ask Dr. Tierney a question, because, we get into that space of being in our feelings, and we definitely do not need a new season of church hurt. So Dr. Tierney, how do we prepare ourselves to make the proper statements when people ask us, questions about, I hadn't seen you in a month of Sundays, when you plan on coming back, and all of those things? How do we help mitigate church hurt and not just accept what people say to us without being, unchristlike? I know it's hard, but we're going to learn something today.
Yeah, you're gonna ask me this right as we go on the break. So here's the reality. No one can qualify or quantify your relationship with your God, period. It comes down to, what is it as you are walking with God, as the season that you are in your life right now. No one else can qualify that for you. No one else can quantify that for you. So it may be that what we call bedside Baptist, maybe he's meeting you right in your living room. If we go back to the Bible, I mean, Jesus, met him on the side of the road, at a house, in a field. I mean, he was not in one place. So it shouldn't be that we are expecting people to engage in their relationship with God in one place. So when we do go back to church and, I haven't seen you in a month of Sundays, when that mother comes up and, says something, you just smile politely because you really don't owe anyone an answer. You don't owe anyone an explanation, but you always want to be gracious. So that's where you just smile and say, praise the Lord, I'm here to go. And you just keep it moving right onto your seat in your pew. This is not a time, of course, I'm always saying we are not to be divisive. We are not to be nasty, but we do not owe people an explanation for what it is that we are doing for us in our lives, particularly in our walk with our God. Okay, so this is where you just smile, be gracious, be patient, and be polite, and just hallelujah, and just keep it moving.
That's a perfect segue to our break, because sometimes you just have to just say hallelujah and keep it moving. When we're back after the break, I want to have a little bit of one-on-one fun with Mocha, because, fitness is a very big part of our lives, and we have to learn how to pace ourselves as we are growing in that space. When we come back after the break, we'll have a bit of time with Mocha Lee.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Welcome back, everyone, to A Balanced Life. And as you can tell, there's so many things that are on our plate, but I honestly believe that faith, family, fitness, and fun are some of the bigger components that kind of keep me together. And so I want to talk to Mocha about that for a bit, because as we round out the year and I begin to think about, I started this year so strong, so focused, so determined, but I kind of got in my own way. And Mocha, let's talk about that for a moment, because you mentioned something earlier about people getting in their own way when it comes to their fitness routine. And I'd like for us, if you could, to kind of walk people through, if we want to take these next 30 days, December to the beginning of January, to pull it together, to kind of help us launch into a good fitness routine for 2023. What does that look like when you're talking to your clients about finding and keeping space for themselves so that they can be consistent in their workouts?
Man, it's tricky. Dr. Jacquie, it's tricky because it's so individual. It depends on the person. It's so individual. But if I had to at least try to give some generalizations, I would say that my most successful clients who really do figure out how to end the year strong, they pick goals. They really do. And it's tricky because you're like, well, dang, it's the end of the year. It's holiday season. I just kind of want it to be light and fun. But I guess you could still have a goal, a fitness goal that is light and fun. My goal is always to figure out how to make fitness a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So you have to figure out what is fun for you, right? And believe it or not, dancing is movement. Walking, jogging, rowing on the row machine. That's been your jam lately. So I applaud you for that. You kind of have to find a thing that's not such a chore, something that you actually enjoy. 9 times out of 10, you're going to add the music to it. Okay, helpful hint. I don't know if it might be gospel, a little old school hip hop, whatever you need. That's generally going to help you in terms of doing your workout. It really does help. I think that you should find. Who can you find that will help you be accountable? There's got to be somebody. You have to have somebody in your crew who does enjoy working out and will give you a little nudge and say, okay, yeah, I'll do a little ab workout with you, or, come on, let's try this cycle class. I think the people who are open end up being successful because they might even set a small goal. Like, you know what, before the end of the year, I will at least try one new workout, or, just try something. But it's hard to get started. That's the whole thing. I don't know. It's like, And that's why I'm literally texting people in the morning, good morning, let's get it going. You know, I'm sitting here waiting on you. So I think the accountability is the biggest thing. And just knowing that you have to be realistic at the end of the year, because you will go to holiday parties. I'm telling you, you're going to be celebrating. So you're allowed to splurge a little bit, but just remember moderation. You can't just go all the way. You can't have all the sugary treats and drinks, and you can't do the eggnog and I just feel like I don't want to be the killjoy, but at the same time, this is called a balanced life. We try to figure out how to balance it. So before you even go to the event, just chug water, like just chug a bunch of water, eat a little some healthy stuff before you even go. That way your tummy's full, you won't eat all the junk. These are just practical tips that I tell people. They do it, and then they're like, well, you know what? At least I didn't gain any unwanted pounds over the holidays, So I don't know, but you do have to find a little goal. You have to find these goals.
I think that everything that you said makes perfectly good sense, because, get an accountability person, someone that's there for you that you can kind of text or call upon, or, get on FaceTime or Zoom and say, hey, I'm going to do this workout. Would you come with me? Yeah. Get a rhythm. I do find that I change it up. Like I do listen to the gospel music for 30 days when I'm working out. And then I may go to the hip hop or my favorite artist. And, then I may, do the Zumba for 30 days. It's sort of like changing up those things. And when we have good weather days, being able to, be outside, but then also taking that time, to say what really does work for you, because I do like to eat. And for every new restaurant that they open, I want to try it, but I've learned to do the small plate or do, just a little bit. Like you said, you have to have moderation. I want to invite our other guests into this conversation because I'm curious as to what you all do as far as fitness during these holidays. Christmas is upon us as we're rounding out the year, and man, there's some good cooking around some good tables. So, how are you balancing the nutrition, the workout, and that yummy dessert and the fried turkeys and the honey baked ham? It's hard. Pastor JT over there smiling like, but you're vegan. Did you do a vegan holiday?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my God. So talk to us about that. So your vegan holiday, how is that working out?
It's great because it's just every day. So it's not really changing anything. There are, as you all know, I'm in Houston, so there are a lot of different options that we have in Houston that may not necessarily be across the country. And there's a lot of different restaurants that offer vegan catering. So one of the places that I went to is called Soul Food Vegan. And so, it was just like I was eating mama's cooking, but of course, mama just kept calling it fake meat, but we're going to keep her on the prayer list. But it tasted good and it worked good. And to be honest with you, I've really been able to take advantage of the time off because my schedule had been so crazy. I was trying to find time to work out. But now that I have a little bit more free time, I'm able to spend a little bit more time. So I'm actually losing a little more. So that's a blessing all within itself.
Mm-hmm. I might need to. I don't know if I can do that though. So I'm Mocha's over there.
Wait. Can I interject something real quick?
Yeah.
The leftovers will mess you up too. The leftovers. Okay, my aunt sent home with us this huge pecan pie. And I said, oh my God, I think what happens is if you're so disciplined throughout the year, then when that stuff is just right in your face, and I'm like, wait, why am I still picking? Like, I'll just lift up the aluminum foil, take a little bit. So finally I said, oh my gosh, okay. So I just cut it into a few slices and I froze it. I put it in the freezer. So at least I know one of these days I'll go back to it. But I just couldn't just keep going. Like it was just crazy. And I know I can't be the only one, but it's the leftovers. The leftovers would just get you. And those little the pounds, it just adds up. So maybe freeze the stuff, you guys. Freeze and just put it away to the side.
Well, true confession, I brought home a slice of bourbon pecan pie, as well as a chopped beef barbecue baked potato. it is what it is, and I'll work out extra as it relates to that. Stacey, what are you doing? During this last part of the year, she's smiling. This is true confessions, everybody.
I'm just sitting over here out of balance.
I didn't mean to laugh that hard.
I'm just out of bounds. I'm not doing anything with fitness, and I'm so ashamed, And then here's the funny thing. I actually follow Pastor JT, and every morning in his stories, he's on that treadmill asking the question, "Have you worked out today?" And every day I'm saying no. but that's just motivation, because at least that small piece of my life is keeping it in the forefront of my brain that I need to work out. But I just need to do better. So if I was to be honest, I'm just out of balance right now.
All right.
Don't
we like honesty here. I think that's important.
Just call it move your body. Just go to the mall and walk a few laps. You'd be surprised how many steps you get. Don't even call it a workout.
Stacey is on campus at her own school. I know that she has property.
I have a treadmill in the teacher lounge. Man, I've ordered bicycles so that we can be balanced. And I'm not even going to make any excuses for myself. I'm just going to say I'm out of balance. I need to do better when it comes to my fitness. So I'm not gonna make it a New Year's resolution goal or anything like that, because I don't believe in that. I'm just gonna drink some water, because Mocha already shamed me today with the whole 64 to 80 something ounces. I'm like, that much? I'm good if I get one bottle. So she told me, she said today to start small. So I'm gonna start small and drink 2 bottles of water today when we get and I'm gonna answer Pastor JT's question, because I be answering. I just don't click it, so you wouldn't, keep count of how many times I would say no. So that's gonna be 2 things I work on today.
Dr. Thierry, what are you doing?
Keeping that same energy. So the same thing I do during the rest of the year, keeping up with my workouts, drinking my water, going to the gym, hitting my spin bike, here at the house, going for a run around my neighborhood. I just keep the same energy that I have throughout the year. I don't let up just because it's the holidays. If I know I'm going to a holiday party, I'll be like, well, I got to get this run in first, and then I'm gonna jump in my clothes and meet y'all there, So I just like what Pastor JT said, I just kind of keep the same energy that I have throughout the year. And sometimes I actually do find that I lose more, during this time of year, because I'm being more mindful of what I'm eating. I do the freeze method. I have chocolate cake and strawberry cake frozen in my freezer right now as we speak, because those leftovers will, creep up and, kind of come back and slap the extra pounds on my backside. So I freeze stuff and I enjoy. Now she gonna eat, she gonna enjoy it, but I just make sure I just keep my foot on the gas, keep that same energy.
Okay, so I am not a calorie counter, but I do have this question for Mocha. So is there a ratio of eating to number of minutes that you should be working out? People say do 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. And I know that's supposed to be a lifestyle. But when I do binge eat or go and try a new restaurant, what should my workout be related to those calories I just consumed?
You such a number cruncher. You a number cruncher. It takes a deficit of 3,500, that would be 3,500 calories to drop 1 pound of weight. It's no joke. I mean, and this is why it is a struggle for many people, because if you think about it, if you do a pretty vigorous workout, like Dr. T is on her spin bike, and if she's on there for 30 to 45 minutes, she might burn 500 calories. But you would have to do 7 of those workouts to burn the 3,500 calories that it took for that 1 pound of body weight. I don't know if that really, does that kind of make sense?
It makes sense, because that's why people, I guess, choose to eat less. So the kind of calories you consume will determine whether or not your workout is going to be effective. Well,
see, what's tricky though is metabolism, right? And then, so you have I mean, so many people, so many ladies just tell me, you know what, let me just drop this weight. I'm gonna just eat some salad and some fruit, and then that's the end of. But guess what? No, your body is smart and will say, oh, you think you're gonna rip and run and maybe even try a workout with no fuel? So your body will literally store fat because it's like, well, where am I going to get the energy from? So it's so tricky. I'm telling you, the main way to think about it is just eat your 3 meals, maybe even 2 snacks in there if they're small meals, and then just move 30 minutes a day if you can. And 30 minutes might be unrealistic for some people with a really hectic schedule, but even 10 minutes, you would be surprised how your body would be like, whoa, it's all about the intent. 10 minutes, if you just said, let me just get up from the computer, I'm just going to walk, let me go up and down the stairs, you will be surprised how it'll end up balancing off. But it's tricky because if you are overeating over an extended amount of time, and then you have all the excess pounds, it takes you, a 3,500 calorie deficit to drop the 1 pound. And that's it's no joke. And it is very challenging. And that's why a lot of people do need a coach, a trainer, or accountability person just to say, really, you got to keep it going, because it's easy to give up. But look at what happens when you get in a stride, though. Once you kind of get in a little rhythm, it's almost like just turns into a lifestyle habit, an addiction, and somewhat like a good addiction. So I'm gonna give my girl Stacy too. Watch in 2023, y'all gonna see Stacy like, hey, I squeezed it in.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we come back after the break, let's talk about that. Let's give our viewers some challenges. When we come back after the break, we're going to challenge you in a couple of areas to kind of get you moving as we round out this year and move into 2023 when we're back after the break.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Welcome back, everyone. And as you can tell, there is so much to be done before we round out this year, but it's all possible. Just figure out what works for you. Go at your own pace and give yourself space and grace to accomplish it. So in this time that we have together, I want to ask our guests if they will give us a couple of challenges as it relates to family, fitness, fun, and our faith. When it comes to learning and discovering how to live a balanced life, it really begins with setting boundaries, setting some opportunities and time for you to say, I need to put me on my calendar. So I'm going to kick it off. Everybody can come on back in. I'm going to kick it off with the challenge of saying, put you on the calendar these next 30 days. My charge to our viewers is to put your name on your calendar and give yourself at least 30 minutes of something. 30 minutes to read, 30 minutes to just breathe, 30 minutes to steal away from other people, just to allow yourself to get in tune with who you are. And as we do this round robin, I think it'll be of value for everybody to just kind of write these things down if you're viewing and say, I think I can incorporate that, because a lifestyle begins with a plan. So Pastor JT, what would be your challenge for our viewing audience these last 30 days of the year?
So mine is going to be very simple. I want to challenge you to find you, because I think that it's hard to live a balanced life when you may be trying to live somebody else's life. So I challenge you to find you, and then whatever that you is, then start making a daily vow to that you to be the best version of you that you possibly can be.
Absolutely. Stacey Owens.
Let's see. I guess I would challenge you to declutter your space, like your physical and your mental space. Is it some items that you've been thinking about you want to get rid of and you just haven't? Now's the time to just start doing that. Or is it some emotions or some feelings that you are carrying around about someone else that you need to let go of? So let's declutter our space so that we can create room to make room for the new gifts and things that's coming our way.
Absolutely. Mocha Lee.
That's good. Ooh, these are some good challenges. All right, my challenge to you, viewer, is to do the M&M, not the chocolate candy M&M, but Mocha says move and meditate in the morning. That's actually 3 M's, but move and meditate. So it has to be in the morning because I'm a busy trainer for busy people. And if you just wake up first thing in the morning, and it could be within Dr. Jackie's 30 minutes, at least let 5 of those minutes be just a quick morning meditation, gratitude, thank you, Lord, and I have a healthy body, and let's go. And then maybe another 5 or 10 minutes of movement. It could be a stretch. It could be, a quick little something, but move in the morning. Because if you don't do it in the morning, you might not get to it. So that's your challenge.
Dr. Tierney.
So I'm going to pick up right where my brother, Pastor JT, left off. Once you challenge yourself to actually find you, I want to challenge you to not give up on you. Mm-hmm. So 2022 might not have panned out the way that you thought it was going to pan out. Your finances may not be where you want them to be. Your fitness may not be where you want it to be. Your family may not be where you want it to be. But just like Beyonce said, I'm going to keep running because a winner don't quit on themselves. Do not quit on yourselves. Do not give up on you. There is still time. There is still opportunity, even if it takes you on into 2023. If you give up, the only thing that's guaranteed is that you won't get it. So definitely I'm going to challenge you to not give up on yourself.
All right, there you have it. These challenges are meant to motivate you, inspire you, and encourage you to allow yourself to move forward through the rest of this year. Give it that good old and get to it. When we come back after the break, I'm going to give my reflection.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to A Balanced Life. And as you can see, our guests have given you some great tips. You're going to find yourself so you don't lose yourself. You're going to make space for yourself and give yourself time. You're going to put yourself on your calendar. Then you're going to make certain that you're getting yourself moving and meditating so that you can stay motivated. But then we don't want you to give up on yourself. 365 days is a lot of time, and a lot of life happens between January and December. But as you begin to move forward, and as we've seen in this pandemic has taught us, we do know how to thrive when we put ourselves first. And we've been saying this for the 40 some odd weeks that we've been doing this show, that self-care is not selfish. So we're asking you, imploring you, giving you the opportunity, even permission to make yourself a priority. I pray that something we have said during this time that we've had together today will allow you to begin to develop a balanced life, to get into a rhythm that will allow yourself to feel at ease and at peace and comfortable with all of the unforeseen things that will come, and we know that they will. Thank you all for watching. Have an amazing day. Bye now.